All right, everyone, live from the New York Times, a startling admission that Donald Trump's tariffs indeed are working as effective. His effectiveness is mainly in the art of the deal more than anything else. It's just called the big ask. This article doesn't really, construe it that way, but it accidentally admits it. We're going to read a little bit verbatim here. Trump's threatened tariffs are so large, 10% feels like a relief. That's the whole goddamn point. As he proposes ever stiffer tariffs, President Trump has normalized his merely big ones. Oh, 10%'s a big tariff. Why don't you look at the laundry list of tariffs that Canada, one of our closest allies, has on U.S. goods? Wheat, wheat, you have to say it that way. It's not wheat, it's wheat. Wheat, automotive parts, energy, fuel, basically everything under the sun, sorghum and shit. Look at the tariffs that they have on U.S. products. Now look at the list of tariffs that Trump has seriously actually imposed on other countries. Look at China, for example. In today's live stream, we're going to be covering the hilarity of the legacy media complaining about how the Chinese ships are coming in, and because of the 145% tariff, they're half empty. That's the whole goal. The whole goal is to grow domestic industry. We're capable of producing virtually anything that we need ourselves. We don't need an extensive trade network. We encompass a large chunk, and a very arable one, filled with resources, of an entire goddamn continent. This is why you can't starve out the Russians, for example. Oh yeah, biggest country in the world. If we tariff them, they'll totally run out of resources. No, they might get shitty ersatz materials domestically, but they've got enough of a trade network to get the things that they need. And there are enough non-aligned countries in the world that won't participate in a trade embargo or something like that, that they do not care. They do not have to care. They can produce things domestically. Big countries are capable of doing this. Anything bigger than Germany or France is capable generally of feeding its own population and getting all of the resources that it needs. The US is the number one exporter now of energy. It's the number one food exporter. It's the number one exporter of a variety of different manufactured goods. Why can't we just absorb them domestically? Other people can get them elsewhere. That's perfectly fine. For decades and decades, the U.S. ethos has been, well, we draw people into trade connections and then we get along with them more because we become reliant on each other. But the reliance goes both ways. That's the whole problem. The United States becomes reliant on China for cheap, shitty shit. And for some reason, manufacturing poultry that was raised in the United States to begin with. Is it impossible for the United States to develop a more interior system? Are we not capable of processing our own poultry? Are we not capable of feeding ourselves? Of course we are. We're the number one food exporter. Oddly, the Dutch, they are the number two, despite the tiny size of their nation. It's probably because it's one giant farm for the most part. It's actually remarkable when you see the what the Dutch have accomplished, actually. Spending time in the Netherlands, one of the most fun times in my life, actually. Seeing Europe, in general, is something that not every American gets to do, but you see some weird stuff over there, man. Seeing Germany a little bit less fun, I will admit. I suppose Bavaria would be a little bit more on the nice side than the Munster region. Kind of brutalismus, as they would say over there. Bavaria sounds fun. Go under the Anheuser-Busch and go skiing. Well, I don't ski, but hiking a little bit or something like that. Anyway, I digress as usual. Trump's tariffs are being normalized. That was the whole goal. You threaten a 200% tariff on some good. The other country freaks out because they know that if you actually impose it, it's going to hit really goddamn hard. And by the way, we'll also be talking later on the live stream about the Chinese cooking economic data or outright deleting it at this point. They don't even report on their unemployment statistics anymore and things like that, so there's no way to analyze their economy. China is a paper dragon. Europe is having problems. All of these countries are having to deal with the fact that Donald Trump can do one of two things. He can threaten a big tariff and follow through with it and crush elements of their economy, because the United States is a massive net importer of many of these goods and services. Or he can say, look, I can do this, but I could also be reasonable if you were to lower your tariffs, if you were to remove them, and then other countries will respond accordingly. There are many countries in the world that are very small. They have only a few key exports. They are hyper-reliant on their ability to export them as part of their trade networks that have been set up so meticulously over the last century. They do not have the capability of weathering the storm the way that the United States or Russia or China, these large countries, can, because they don't have the same resources. If your country is the size of the average U.S. state, so it's the size of Ohio or something, your ability to weather the economic storm is going to be considerably lessened. The United States is simply asking for one thing, and I believe that this is justified and right. The United States is saying we are no longer going to participate in stupid trade. Stupid trade is when the other country is tariffing your goods in a protectionist system, and you do not retaliate in any meaningful manner, out of some vague ideology of the so-called free market that doesn't even exist. We already have tariffs on other nations in general anyway. It's just that they are insufficient. What we need to do is back the other countries down. In a perfect world, nobody tariffs anyone else. Everyone trades completely freely. Everyone gets along. There's no war and all of these things. This is an unachievable world, by the way, because of various people's sentiment around the world. But we can approximate it. We can be pragmatic and get as close to it as possible while remaining stable, while maintaining stability. This is possible to do. It's what the Trump administration is trying to do. When the Canadians say, when Carney comes out and says, well, Canada is not for sale. No shit, Sherlock. Donald Trump's statements with regards to annexing Canada are a joke, effectively, meant to back you down on economic issues. That's literally all he's doing. He's done this multiple times. You should be used to it by now. Oh, maybe we'll buy Greenland. Well, while I would definitely support territorial status for Greenland should it vote for it, and would encourage Congress to vote it through, it doesn't seem that they're inclined to do so. Nobody's invading Greenland. What the hell are you talking about? The hyperbole, the amount of sheer stupidity that I see in reporting, and even in the response by legitimately elected political leaders so-called, in name only, linos, is staggering. It boggles the mind at some points. Trump's tariff plan is make the big ask and then force the other side down and say, okay, you had a 50% tariff on U.S. wheat. Well, if you lower it for 20%, we won't tariff your wheat. That'd be great now, wouldn't it? So, you've reduced the tariff. The U.S. is therefore capable of competing more ably in that market. And the numbers are somewhat malleable, somewhat negotiable, and change over time. Steel, aluminum, fuel, food, cows, literally everything under the sun. Tariffs are applied from country to country broadly across the entire world. Also, having at least limited tariffs works. That's why they're applied so often. That's why it happens. But the U.S. uniquely, here, we're not allowed to do that. Everyone gets hot under the collar if the U.S., the world's #1 importer of goods, happens to apply tariffs to other countries. Why? Because they want us to remain the #1 importer. They want us reliant on their goods because they make money off of it. Wow, imagine that. It's so confusing. No, it's not. A fucking kindergartner could understand this concept. That's about all. Peace out.